This review has been made possible by Toyota of Naperville. As you know, Toyota has tons of brand new Toyotas available for purchase, but did you know that they also have a remarkable selection of used cars? Head on over to toyotaofnaperville.com and look through hundreds of used cars for sale right now.
Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2020 Jeep Gladiator Overland. Up front is a 3.6 liter V6. Down below is an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now I'm super excited to be driving this here Gladiator because this debuted for 2020 and I haven't gotten behind the wheel of one quite yet. So this is my first opportunity to do so. The Jeep truck is back! And I say back because they've actually made Jeep pickup trucks before. The Comanche of the 80s and 90s is what immediately comes to mind. It is basically the front end of an XJ Cherokee with the back end of, well, pretty much a Dakota from Dodge. But this is the Gladiator, and so let's get into it. Let's get back to that 3.6 liter V6. It's been used in every Chrysler product that has graced the earth for the last 20 years. This engine is all reliable, and we'll put the horsepower and torque up on the screen. Nothing really too crazy. And there is a diesel option for 2021. So not here in 2020, but 2021 saw a diesel. I'll put the miles per gallon up on the screen. It's a Jeep. I don't know what you expected, but the numbers aren't spectacular. Like I said, paired to it is an automatic transmission. However, the Gladiator is offered in manual. So if you want a manual Jeep pickup truck, boy, you can have that if you really want. Which is really, really cool and special. But the automatic here is fine. It shifts fine. It's an 8-speed. It's doing the work. And I really don't have any complaints about it. Last but not least, this here Gladiator is 4-wheel drive, of course. And we'll talk about how to pick that a little bit later on. So let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 2 physical gauges and a screen. On the left is my tachometer, and on the right is my speedometer. Then in the center, I do get a little customizable screen, which I will cycle through a bunch of the information that I can select here in the center. This is really, really nice. Modern Mopar, meaning Jeep, Dodge, Chrysler, Fiats, are all very good at giving you a lot of information. This is sort of a recent attribute of Mopar vehicles, but I'm glad that it's here to stay, and I'm glad that it's here in the Gladiator. Tons of information that I can get while driving, and I appreciate that. I also really like the coolant and fuel gauges just because they look like they're filled up with muddy water, so I feel like that's kind of speaking to the ruggedness of this particular vehicle. On the steering wheel on the left, I have my selectors for that screen and the gauges, as well as my phone options and voice commands. And on the right, I do have my cruise control options and my radar cruise options. So this does have rudimentary radar cruise control, which will keep a certain distance between you and the person in front of you, which is fantastic on a Jeep product. I'm very happy that they're finally getting with the program here. The overall steering wheel is nice. It is leather stitched. It has a decent feel to it. However, the steering itself, I feel like, is a lot lighter than I would have thought out of a giant vehicle like this. I can turn with one finger very, very easily, and I appreciate that. To the left of me, I have my headlight switches, bed light, and my dimmer switches, and on the door, I have my power mirrors and power locks. The one thing I really like about the lock on the door is the fact that it actually has a traditional style lock when it's locked and not when it is unlocked. So you don't have to look at the door and say, is it locked, is it unlocked? It literally says it. So that's very, very nice. Moving into the center, we do get a decent touchscreen display full of color, and I absolutely love it. This is the higher trim level of the Gladiator, and so it has the nicer screen, and I can run through my media, climate controls, apps, navigation, and CarPlay, of course, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. If I go to my controls, a couple interesting things here. First of all, I can control my heated seat and my heated steering wheel through the menu. However, I also get physical buttons for that, which I love. But I can also do my mirror dimmer, so I can dim the mirror. You're going to hear it beep. And I can also toggle the backup camera. So I can turn on the backup camera whenever I want. And speaking of the backup camera, it's really, really nice, very clear, and it adjusts the lines when I'm backing up when I turn the wheel, which is fantastic. I also love the fact that I can be driving forward and just turn on the rear camera just to keep an eye on a trailer or someone behind me or something of the sort. I'm doing 30 and it hasn't shut me out. So that's really, really nice. And something that's missing from the 2019 Dodge Durango, you could turn on the backup camera, but only when it's stationary. and it goes away once you start moving.
I also wanted to point out the off-road pages that Jeep offers in the Gladiator. I think these are awesome. They're really similar to the SRT pages found on the Performance Dodge products, and it gives you a ton of information that I really, really like.
Alright, so to save us both some time, I'm going to be doing today's sponsor reads, hot lapping the test track in my 2019 Mazda 3 all-wheel drive. The first sponsor is Fixed. Fixed is an automotive OBD2 sensor that you plug into your car, and it gives you tons of really cool diagnostics. Click the link in the description below, and you will get an offer code for my viewers only. You get a bunch of money off. Next is Con Plates. You don't want to stick the plate on the outside of your car? Cool. Stick it out with some suction cups. And last but not least, if you want to sell your car, go to cashforcars.com. Click the link in the description below, get a free quote, and they'll pick up your car in less than 24 hours. Thank you to all the sponsors for making these reviews possible, and that is a lap. Down below that center screen, I do have my climate controls. Now, this is where I'll find my physical buttons for the heated steering wheel and heated seats. I absolutely love that. And something I find funny is that the recirculating button is a typical Jeep Wrangler and not a Gladiator, which is kind of funny. Similarly, we have some interesting buttons down below that. I have a dedicated mute button, which is interesting because I could just hit the power button on the volume knob, and that works as mute as well. So they have two mute buttons right next to each other, which is interesting, I guess. Then I have the automatic start stop on and off, my traction control button, hazard switch, parking sensors, hill descent control, and my screen off. I think it's funny that hill descent is a Wrangler as well. Now, below those buttons, we have a 12-volt outlet that is operated only when the vehicle is on. I love the fact that Jeep actually tells you that. And this is where I'll find my power window switches, which is very, very nice. They're down here on the center because the doors of the Gladiator are in fact removable. So if you'd like to, you can remove the doors, as well as you can remove this top and the rear cap on the back too. To the far right, I have my media panel, which has a USB-C input, a traditional USB, and an aux input. And then down below, I have a little cubby and 4 auxiliary switches. Now, these auxiliary switches don't do anything. They don't do anything right now. They're just buttons. But the reason why Jeep put them in here is because if you want to hook up a light bar, you want to hook up a winch, or anything else that would require a button, you can wire them directly to this button and it looks factory. It looks normal. No more janky red wires running under the seat to a switch you got at AutoZone to run your KC lights. You can wire them right here and it'll look factory, but you can customize your Jeep in that way, which is super awesome. I love that newer trucks are doing this. It just cleans up the interior, makes it look so much nicer. Moving on to the center console itself, I do have my 4-wheel drive controls off to the left. I love the fact that this is actual physical 4-wheel drive controls. It's a separate stick, and I really like that. And then to the right, I do have my shifter. I like the feeling of the shifter. Putting it in and out of gear really feels solid, very satisfying, and I like that a lot. And I like the fact that up on top of the shift knob, I do have a little silhouette of a Gladiator. Down below that, we have our cup holders, so we will do a big frickin' bottle test. And while it doesn't sit all the way down in the bottom, I will give the Jeep Gladiator a pass because my bottle is standing straight up and not knocking over when I take a turn. So the Jeep Gladiator passes the big friggin' bottle test. Moving on to the center console, I do have a USB in there as well. And the center console is a nice height to rest your arm. Now we gotta talk about the seats. The seats have Overland stitched into them, which I like. They are cloth seats and they're decently comfortable. They're pretty much the same cloth material that's been used in Chryslers for the last 20 to 30 years. It's pretty much the same cloth material you'll find in a 2008 Jeep. However, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's exactly what Jeep has done. However, this is a 4-door pickup truck, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2020 Jeep Gladiator Overland, and first of all, headroom great, legroom great. Well, legroom's pretty good. If I stretch out, I do hit the front seat, but it's great for smaller 4-door pickup trucks is what I'm trying to say. I do have 2 vents here down in the center console. I have my window switches, 4 USBs, 2 traditional, 2 USB-Cs, which are fantastic, and I get a 115 volt AC 400 watt outlet, wall outlet, which is fantastic as well. 2 giant cup holders down there. And like I mentioned up there, this white all of this white actually comes off. You can remove this entire top. So you'll just have this roll bar and then these roll bars that go over my shoulder, and you have a very open Jeep experience. In a pickup truck, you could carry all your camping supplies or tow a trailer or whatever you need to do, and you could still have that open top experience, which I absolutely love. That is the big appeal of the Gladiator over any other pickup truck, is the fact that you could take the roof fully off. This is a summer fun vehicle, and you can fill the bed with whatever it needs to be filled with and still have that Jeep fun. Jeep's modern use is the top coming off. Here in suburban Illinois, no one's taking these things off-road. No one is rock crawling Moab here because that's thousands of miles away. This is the selling point, is the removable roof and still being safe. That's it. But speaking of all of that, let's go take a look at that truck bed. All right, so around the back of the Gladiator, obviously the most controversial part of this pickup truck. And I do actually get sort of a slow open, sort of a soft open tailgate. And that's the size of the bed. Nothing really too crazy in here. I do have lights and tie downs and things like that. And I get this really nice cover that actually does fold up, which is super nice. But that's about it. I think, whoop, it's peeing. One thing I find kind of funny is that there's no spare tire on the back like typical Jeeps. So they could just put the backup camera like a normal vehicle, not where it's sticking through the tire like it is on the Wranglers. Overall, nice size bed, nothing really too interesting. However, actually, just noticing, I do have a 4-pin and 7-pin connectors for trailers, which is fantastic. Now we gotta talk about the looks. This is where things start to get controversial for this here Gladiator. Basically, this is a Jeep Wrangler with a truck bed stuck onto the back. And honestly, that's what it looks like. It doesn't really look like they had much of a design team. I think they just hired an art student with a ruler and a pencil and just drew a back end onto a regular Wrangler and said, voila! There it is. That being said, I fall on the side of this is a good-looking vehicle. I don't know. I think it looks cool and modern and hip. Sue me, I guess, but I like the look of it. I like the look of it. It does look a little wonky from a couple angles, but so do I, so I can't really hate. But now, let's get my final thoughts on the 2020 Jeep Gladiator Overland. Well, I think that there are a lot of good attributes and a lot of bad attributes about this truck. First of all, let's get the bad attributes out of the way. You can't really find a cheap Gladiator like you can a Ford Ranger or a Chevy Colorado. I'm sure they'll exist on the used market in time, but you can't really get a base model Gladiator without some type of Jeep tax added to it. And that's a little disheartening because I think that takes this out of enthusiast hands. I'm also not a big fan of Chrysler reliability. My family has owned plenty of Chryslers, new and used, mostly Dodges, but a couple Chrysler products. And the reliability has always been borderline at best. My brother's 2019 Dodge Durango recently had a trans cooler line blow up at only 70,000 miles, and that was a 2019. It just ejected all of its fluid onto our driveway. It's a little disheartening to see. I don't know if I would ever own one of these outside of a warranty, or if I seriously knew what I was doing with Jeeps, which at the current moment I don't. However, let's talk about the things that I do like. I love the screen. It's very colorful, responsive, and easy enough to use. It's not the easiest in the world, but it's something I could definitely get used to. I like the driving feel of this. Now, it is a rough ride. The suspension is what I can only assume clay bricks, but I like how light the steering is. I like how easy it shifts. I haven't really noticed it shifting too much. It's very easy to see out of, at least in the front. The back is a different story, but out of the front, it is easy to see. And overall, it's actually a pleasant driving experience. You just have to know what you're getting into. Don't buy a Jeep Gladiator expecting it to ride like an Escalade. It's very, very different. This is a tool, and it should be used as such. But overall, I'm happy the Gladiator exists. I'm glad that Jeep is making a pickup truck again. I just think they're quirky and weird. And when it comes to smaller pickup trucks, the market is dominated by the Colorado and the Ranger, the Nissan Frontier and Toyota Tacoma, and the Honda Ridgeline. I'm glad that this offers a little bit of difference. The Jeep guys finally have a newish platform to deal with. I know it's based off of the JL, but it's still newish. They got a bed. That's kind of cool to modify and lift and put on mud tires. I don't know. I think that this Gladiator has gotten a lot of hate recently, and I'm not really quite sure why. People say it's ugly, but other than that, I really don't have too much to say. You could take the top fully off. I mean, what pickup truck can you do that? We haven't seen a convertible pickup truck since the Dakota in the 90s, and those are super, super rare. I actually really, really like the Gladiator. I think this is a solid pickup truck. And if I were looking, I would probably go out and test drive another. See what kind of trim levels I'd like and figure it out. I don't know why I'm like getting nervous saying it, but I like it. I really like the Gladiator. I really do. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Toyota of Naperville for letting me take out their used 2020 Jeep Gladiator. It's one of their used cars on the lot. They have hundreds of used cars on the lot at all times. Please go check them out. Their information is up on the screen as well as linked in the description below. But again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.